What's going on, guys? It's Vin with Simply Sounds. Today I want to walk you guys through my editing process and sort of just show you how I add my sounds to my drone footage here. So the first off, let's just give this clip a play so we can see what we're dealing with. So you can see we're flying along a bit of a creek here. As we approach, you see this bigger dam, and it's a simple flyover. But one of the first things that stands out to me is the silence. This was filmed on a Mavic 2 Pro, and as you guys know, drones do not have microphones, so let's add some sound. So we're going to hop into our Genesis sound pack here. And one of the first things I want to add is some sort of water. So we're going to hop into coastal category. And let's see here. You know what? Actually, let's hop into nature. So to begin, let's start with a light, gentle creek. Let's take a listen. This is a good base to start with. So we're going to drag this over into our first audio track. Let's take a listen. It's a little loud. I'm going to pull this down just a notch. We're also going to use the pen tool to fade our audio in. Give it a more natural feel. You always want your audio to be very subtle. You don't want it to be overpowering to the point where it's unrealistic. So let's take a listen. We could even have this fade in a little bit less. So this is a good bass, but we do want to hear those higher end frequencies of the water. So let's hop back into our nature category. Let's check out Lively Creek. This is going to be a little bit more rough so that we can use this for those rapids we see. This is similar to Gentle Creek, but again, it's got a little bit more power. So let's drag this into our track 2. And again, we're going to pull it down just a notch, and using the pen tool, we're going to fade it in. And we want to use our visuals to kind of tweak our audio. So as we pass over the first rapids, that's kind of where we want our first high point to be. So we're going to pull that in, and then as we pass over the rapid, we're going to fade back out. Let's see how that sounds. Pull it down just a little bit more. So the next stage is to add in this dam. It's a little bit heavier water. It's not the same rapids that we were dealing with earlier. So we're going to hop back into our nature category. Let's try Distant River. It should have a bit more lower end frequency here. more of a wide sound. I think this will work well. So we're going to come in and we'll put this on our third track here. And as we approach this waterfall, again, we're going to fade it in naturally so that you sort of feel the sense that you're approaching. Take a listen. So I noticed the lively creak fades out pretty quick, so we're going to extend that just a bit. And as we come over the waterfall and pass over this shed here, we're going to fade back out as we pass. A little bit faster. All right, let's take a listen. So I want to hear this waterfall a little bit earlier on. So we're going to pull Distant River back all the way to the beginning since we can see it. We want to hear it as well. I think this is sounding pretty good right now. I do want to keep those higher frequencies of the water, so we're going to keep Lively Creek. I'm going to pull that up slightly here. As we pass over, it should fade out. Okay, so the next step is we see all of these woods, we see the forest, we see the canopies, so obviously there's something living in there. So let's hop back into the pack here, back into nature. And I want to hear some birds, so let's throw in some morning birds here. So this will give us a good ambience of the canopy and the surrounding woods. So we're going to throw this in here. So it looks like we're running out of track room, so we're going to right click, add track, and this will open up another audio layer for us. So again, we're going to have the birds fade in from the beginning, pull it to the end. Let's listen. Pull it up just a hair. That's sounding pretty good. So another extent of the forest is I want to hear a little bit of insect, a little bit more than just the bird. So we're going to hop back into nature. Actually, not nature. We're going to hop into urban suburban. And we have a track called Suburban Evening, which is sort of that just light feel. You hear a bit of the crickets and it just adds an overall nice ambience to the scene. This will be nice once we pass over the shed and we just see this distant, murky water here. So again, we're going to control click, add track, and we're going to drop this in. And we'll pull it down slightly. Let's take a listen. Again, we're going to fade in as usual. If you wanted to solo this track, we can click this S. And that's a nice subtle sound in the background there. Okay, so I think that's sounding pretty good. The last and final touch I want to do is I want to hear the slight sense of the drone passing the shed. So right about here, we're going to add in a little bit of additional sound just so that we can feel the sense of space. So a track that I like to use to do this is actually going to be, again, in urban suburban. And I know it may, actually it's going to be in transportation. And I know it may sound a little strange, but busy highway actually gives us a good amount of noise where we can sort of just wipe something by. We don't want the brakes though. Let's see here. So we're going to take that and we're going to drop it in right as we pass over the shed here. Let's take a zoom. So we're going to solo this track so we can focus on it a bit better. Obviously that's way too loud, so we're going to fade it in and out. I'm going to pull the peak down slightly as well. Also, we're going to control click and we're going to take the speed down just a little bit here. Give it more bass. We're going to pull that out a little bit longer. Let's solo the track again to focus on it. So I want this peak right as we pass over the tip top of the roof here. And then I'm going to fade it out a little bit faster. And I think that sounds good. So let's take a listen to all the tracks together here. So I think that's looking pretty good. So overall we have about, let's see here, 6 audio tracks that we have layered on top of one another. One of the good things about our tracks is that you can layer them on top of each other, and it really creates this sense of a scene I mean, this is a drone shot. If we did happen to mute these, we're left with just a bit of a silent clip. So as we sort of bring some of these sounds in, it really gives you this sense that you may actually even be there. Alrighty, so that'll pretty much conclude today's episode. I just wanted to show you guys a little bit more in depth of how I layer my audio tracks. In a further video, I can really dive into, some of the different settings we can throw in, such as stereo expander, to really enhance the audio and tweak it a little bit more to fine-tune sort of where things are taking place, where the sounds are coming from, whether it's the right, the left, narrow, wide. But for this episode, I just wanted to give a basic overview of layering the tracks and how we set that up. So thanks for joining in. I hope you learned a little something, and I'll see you next time.